Silencio! Someone is driving their car way too fast right now. Dangerous. Oh, hi there. I was just catching up on some everyday reading. Now, in order to dissuade from my own little secrets, I want to focus on someone else's. Say, The Secrets of Dumbledore. It's funny because it's the name of the movie. Now, what are the secrets of Dumbledore, you might ask? Well, we still don't know. Now let me start off this video by saying that I adore J.K. Rowling. I think she is a genius, I think she is brilliant, wonderful. In fact, she is one of the reasons that I myself want to become an author. I would even go as far to say that I love the wizarding world so much, the very fact that I have to wake up every single morning, live an everyday life, go to work, pay taxes, and not hop on a magical train to a wizarding school where I learn how to make potions and fight trolls, absolutely physically pains me. It's like I could be learning how to make things fly, but no, I'm stuck here instead. However, I also have a tendency where I love something so much, I tend to notice every single detail, overanalyze it, overcritique it, and nitpick it until it's dead.
Second time you've spoken out of turn, Miss Granger. Are you incapable of restraining yourself, or do you take pride in being an insufferable know-it-all?
He's got a point, you know.
It's a bit of an unforgivable curse, really. But when I critique this movie, it's out of love. I'm going to spoil this movie for you more than Vernon Dursley spoils his own son.
36, but last year I had 37!
Although this movie deserves to be spoiled, respectively. Starting off with, this might be the saddest opening to any Harry Potter film you will ever see. This also might be the most pagan movie in the entire Harry Potter franchise. I don't mean pagan as in Christian wine mom upset because child have wand. I mean pagan as an evil dark wizard takes newborn lamb-like creature and kills it, like not with a wand, Avada Kedavra, I mean with a knife across the throat, kills it, and then uses its blood to have visions of the future. And then this dark wizard bathes with the lamb-like creature, I still keep forgetting the name of this creature. It's the corpse of this newborn lamb that he personally killed and played in its blood and bathes with it, soaking it around in a bathtub with him, murmuring these dark magic words that no one else seems to understand. And then the lamb comes back to life. Not in the sense of Jesus' resurrection, but in the sense of this is a zombified lamb that he is going to use to cheat an election.
We had an awful good time. Now I want to play with you.
What did you do? What did you do?
I want to remind everyone that Harry Potter celebrates Christmas. There's all sorts of Christian terminology and lore straight from the Bible that is used in the Harry Potter series. When your Aunt Karen 20 years ago complained about Harry Potter being demonic because of spells and charms and potions and magic, J.K. Rowling was just like, hold my butterbeer. In the absolute Twitter troll queen she is, I'm not surprised if that's what led to this.
What did you do?
If you want demonic, Karen, I'll show you demonic. We're gonna have a dark wizard commit animal sacrifice and use its blood to have visions of the future. There's something I don't think even Voldemort ever did. I never saw Voldemort sacrifice a lamb, a newborn lamb. I think even that's too dark for him. It wasn't like wand magic and the thing falls over, dies. I'm talking like... And he uses the lamb's blood to have visions of the future. The man is playing in lamb's blood. When Voldemort did, it was quick and painless. Grindelwald is just bloodthirsty. Now, Secrets of Dumbledore was missing a little something. Just a little... I can't think of the word right now. I'm just trying to think of what I'm... like. It's got a little bit of a spice, a little bit of a... Oh, yes. It was missing Dumbledore. Now, Fantastic Beasts had a lot of beasts. It was fantastic. It was about a magical zoologist who was trying to write his book and teach people about the care and understanding of magical creatures. It made sense. In the title, Fantastic Beasts, Fantastic and Beastical, Crimes of Grindelwald. To be quite honest, I still don't really know what his crimes were. What did he do to earn this title of Dark Evil Wizard exactly? Because in the first film, Fantastic Beasts, he's not really shown until the very end of the film for like the last 2 minutes. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, it's Grindelwald, the evil dark wizard, ah! The title, Crimes of Grindelwald, implies that we're going to learn what those crimes exactly were. Exactly how Grindelwald earned the infamous title of evil dark wizard. which we don't. We don't learn what he did in that movie, actually, now that I think about it. I still don't know what Grindelwald did. Maybe having a meeting without a permit? I don't know. There's also the scene where Grindelwald is explaining why he wants to fight the Muggles in order to stop World War II and the Holocaust. And forgive me, but I fail to see how wanting to stop the Holocaust is a bad guy thing. It's all quite confusing because this guy wants to stop World War II and the Holocaust, and then he's being labeled as a bad guy wizard. We have no idea exactly what he did prior to this. I mean, we know he's evil now because he's sacrificing lambs and Secrets of Dumbledore, but I fail to see what's going on here. I'm sorry, but if your villain is the guy who's trying to stop the Holocaust, you might want to rethink your priorities. One can only assume that with Secrets of Dumbledore, this is where he focused on Dumbledore and his relationship with Grindelwald, which, to be fair, they do focus on for a little bit, solid 2 minutes, and then it's back to Newt Scamander and friends. Oh joy! To be completely honest, I'm still confused as to why they're there and why they're so prominent. I mean, the movie is called Secrets of Dumbledore, and yet Dumbledore, throughout this entire movie, is pushed to the background. I should remind everyone that Dumbledore is J.K. Rowling's favorite character. He is by far the most intriguing and mysterious character in the entire Harry Potter franchise. I mean, throughout the entire series, Albus Dumbledore knows everything about everything. He's always a step ahead of everyone, and yet he's never fully there. Of him in the Philosopher's Stone notes him as one of the greatest wizards of all time.
He's going to the finest school of witchcraft and wizardry in the world, and he will be under the finest headmaster that Hogwarts has ever seen, Albus Dumbledore.
The background information on his chocolate frog card alone is enough to make an amazing film about him. Albus Dumbledore, currently headmaster of Hogwarts. Considered by many the greatest wizard of modern times, Dumbledore is particularly famous for his defeat of the Dark Wizard Grindelwald in 1945, for the discovery of 12 uses of dragon's blood, and his work on alchemy with his partner Nicholas Flamel. Professor Dumbledore enjoys chamber music and 10-pin bowling.
Oh, that's rotten luck. I've only got one good jump in them to begin with. I've got Dumbledore!
Forget this, or just don't know, that Albus Dumbledore, one of the most beloved characters in the entire Harry Potter franchise, was this close to becoming a dark wizard on the same level as Voldemort by taking over the entire Muggle world alongside Grindelwald. A backstory, do we get a movie about Dumbledore nearly becoming a supervillain? No, we do not. I will say I do like Newt Scamander as a character, although I feel like he only truly thrived in Fantastic Beasts. And that was because the movie was meant for him. It was about him trying to write his book and teach people about caring for magical creatures. It was about a magical zoologist. The focus on him was appropriate. In Crimes of Grindelwald, he was also the main protagonist, but it felt a bit more awkward. He seems like he doesn't really want to be there. He doesn't seem to do anything other than chase around after his not girlfriend, which in itself is quite confusing because in the first film, I got the idea that he was more interested in caring for creatures than having any sort of romantic interest. And yet, in Crimes of Grindelwald, it seems to be his main focus entirely was someone I didn't even consider him to be with. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them was just put on a dusty shelf somewhere, and he went off to run after this girl. There's one scene where he says she has salamander eyes as a form of endearment, and to be fair, Harry Potter films have a pattern with struggling how to portray romantic interests.
Shoelace.
Then, of course, there's Newt Scamander's Muggle friend, Jacob Kowalski, who, in my most humble opinion, is absolutely annoying. Jacob Kowalski is actually a really great plot device in the first film, Fantastic Beasts. He's a Muggle who knows nothing about the wizarding world, he gets caught in Newt's antics, and then he's learning about the wizarding world. It's like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy and wild, whoa! For the first film, this is actually a really interesting thing to watch. And at the end of the film, Jacob ends up getting obliviated because he's not supposed to know the wizarding world exists, and it's really sad and emotional, and that should be the end of it, right?
This is for the best. Yeah, I was never even supposed to be here. I was never supposed to know. any of this.
No. The second film, Crimes of Grindelwald, Jacob is brought back because supposedly the spell only erases bad memories. There are so many things wrong with this. That would mean that every single muggle that is obliviated by the Ministry of Magic for the sake of protecting the wizarding world and the muggles themselves still have happy memories of the wizarding world. That would mean that Hermione Granger obliviating her own parents in the Deathly Hallows to protect herself and them meant nothing. Hermione Granger's sacrifice meant nothing. Explain this. You can't.
Must have been obliviated.
It didn't work, pal. But you said it. The potion only erases bad memories. I didn't have any.
Well, just like that, the entire wizarding world exposed and turned into a theme park. I don't understand. I don't. Pity. Kowalski having any memory of the wizarding world, or any recollection of what happened in the first Fantastic Beasts film, is a bigger plot hole than Time Turners and the Cursed Child. Now, Jacob Kowalski's entire character has not changed since the first Fantastic Beasts, and this isn't necessarily a good thing, because in Fantastic Beasts, it worked. And in Crimes of Grindelwald and Secrets of Dumbledore, Jacob's entire existence relies on him yelling at everything and waving his hands around obnoxiously. I'm a muggle from Queens, oh my goodness! You are a muggle in the wizarding world, and you know very well that you are not supposed to know the wizarding world exists. Maybe it's a good idea that you don't bring all the attention to yourself. Stay in your lane, Jacob. For Merlin's sake, stay in your lane. Then there is this new character named Lally, who, in short, every time she opened her mouth, I wanted to slap something. Now, Lally isn't a bad character by any means. I actually wish I knew more about her. It's the fact that I know nothing about her. I don't see how she is relevant to anything in the story. The only thing that Lally seems to offer is this accent that almost sounds like a really bad Mae West impression. Oh, I'm Lally, and I'm a witch. One thing when she's using this poorly done transatlantic accent, but it's another thing when everything she says holds no value to the conversation. I'm supposedly the most talented witch of my time, but you wouldn't know because all I do is offer commentary that no one asked for. She is the walking embodiment of a refrigerator magnet. Now, Lally supposedly is the most talented witch of her time, and yet the way she introduces herself into this film makes absolutely no sense. She puts together this whole plan of getting Jacob Kowalski's attention by having her cousin pretend to be a man on the street, harassing her and waving his hands about in order to get Jacob to come out of his bakery. But this makes no sense. There's no value to this scene because the moment Jacob comes out of his bakery, Lally immediately, almost instantly, reveals herself and her entire plan. Of course, Jacob just locks her out of his bakery because he wants nothing to do with the wizarding world anymore, and Lally apparates herself into Jacob's bakery. As if, why not just do that to begin with? What was the point in having this elaborate plan to get Jacob to come out of his bakery? Why not wait until he brings you into his bakery to reveal yourself? Or, if you could just apparate into his bakery, why not just do that? There was no need to have your cousin get involved at all. We never see this cousin ever again. It just felt like a wasted plot point, honestly, just another 2 minutes into the film that we didn't really need to witness. And the funny thing is, this could have been forgivable if it wasn't for her fake accent. I mean, it's the most annoying thing in the world. Credence is in this film. Don't know why. I thought he blew up in the first film, but then I guess he survived, and in Crimes of Grindelwald, he joined the circus, and in this film, he's an angsty teen, as usual. He supposedly is a Dumbledore, which at this point, all the Harry Potter characters are either dating or related somehow, so I'm not surprised. Minerva McGonagall is in this film. Don't know how, don't know why. I mean, she's not born until 1935. Don't know how they missed that point. Don't know how they thought they could add Minerva McGonagall without people noticing. I mean, Harry Potter Wiki is there for a reason. I don't believe it. They took it off the website. Those cowards. Look up when she's born. It clearly says 1935. This movie takes place in 1930. Who did they think they were kidding? I just remember seeing comment after comment after comment on Twitter, Tumblr, Reddit, YouTube, Instagram, of people saying, why is Minerva McGonagall in this film? She's not alive yet. I remember seeing red carpet interviews of when this movie first came out, and the woman who plays Minerva McGonagall is giving this long interview about how she was watching Maggie Smith in all the films and watching how she holds her wand and how she postures herself, and she took into a great account of how Maggie Smith played Minerva McGonagall.
I held it like Maggie Smith did. She held it like this, and quite often then she would walk, she would go like this, and she would teach and like that, and that was her. So it's been quite a long time studying this, and I've heard from quite a few fans, thankfully, that this is actually how she held her wand. So that's nice.
So of course we're all thinking, oh my goodness, like they really must have made this huge plot hole for a huge reason. Minerva McGonagall is going to have a huge role in this film. What's going to happen? And sure enough, nothing. Minerva McGonagall is in Secrets of Dumbledore for a solid minute and a half at most, I think. I remember seeing Minerva McGonagall in Crimes of Grindelwald thinking, wow, I really hope they don't bring her back. I really hope, they fix this and try, to just pretend this never happened, for the sake of continuity. But no, they brought her back. So we're all thinking, wow, this must be a huge plot device. No, it wasn't. I told you I was going to spoil this movie. One instance we see Minerva McGonagall is when there's a knock on Aberforth Dumbledore's door, and he goes to answer it, and he says, "Hi, Minerva," and then she says something needs to be done, and then you never see her again. That's it. That's Minerva McGonagall. They included her more in Crimes of Grindelwald than this. There was no reason for her to be in this film. Absolutely none. My only hope is that what they don't do is try to somehow cover up their tracks and say, well, Minerva McGonagall decided to use a time turner to go teach school back in the early 1900s. No, I don't want this. I didn't want this in The Cursed Child. I don't want to see this again. Time turners have a rule. You can only go back so many hours. You can't just go back to a whole new decade. Why? Why are we changing the rules? I told you, I'm going to spoil this film for you. I'm going to spoil this film for you more than Dudley Dursley. Minerva McGonagall was thrown into this movie for one reason and one reason only, so that we, the audience, can just sit there at the edge of our seats and think, oh my goodness, it's McGonagall! Oh, happy day! To have some sort of bits of nostalgia just come flowing through our hearts for nothing. Speaking of unneeded nostalgia, we were taken to Hogwarts twice in this film. Twice. I don't know why we're taken to Hogwarts twice, other than to see the visuals of the castle and to hear the pretty music play and have our hearts sing, because Hogwarts is my home.
I'm not going home. Not really.
Our quick jab of nostalgia, fueling the serotonin. But it's just like, who am I kidding? I am the targeted audience. I am that person at the edge of my seat. Every time I see an image of Hogwarts, my insides get all warm and I start crying inside and I start getting really excited because Hogwarts is my home and take my money. However, there is one scene in particular that I did quite appreciate, and that is the little glimpse, if you will, at Hogwarts of a group of Slytherin boys. And supposedly, according to those on the interwebs, this might just be a young Tom Riddle, which implies, maybe, we might be getting some Tom Riddle movies fairly soon, so yes. At one point in the film, we are even taken to the Room of Requirement. Now, if you are an avid Harry Potter fan, you know the Room of Requirement is an important plot device, often used in the Harry Potter series. For example, in the Order of the Phoenix, Harry Potter uses the Room of Requirement to secretly train Dumbledore's army away from Dolores Umbridge. In the Half-Blood Prince, Draco Malfoy uses the Room of Requirement to secretly mend the cabinet. We even find out that Professor Trelawney uses the Room of Requirement for her own secret activities, although we never actually learn what those are. It's for drinking. Shh. The Room of Requirement is often used as a plot device and a theme for secrecy. So of course, us in the audience who know the Harry Potter series well, we're going to be sitting in our seats really excited thinking, oh my gosh, this is where the secrets are revealed, this is where we find out the secrets of Dumbledore. And instead, the Room of Requirement is used for a portkey. Anything your heart desires and anything that you need can be found in the Room of Requirement. Any strange and twisted artifact, even those in your favorite Harry Potter fanfiction, can be found in the Room of Requirement. And yet, they used it for a Portkey. Speaking of Hogwarts, Jacob gets to go to Hogwarts. How? I don't know. If you aren't deep dive into the lore of Harry Potter or Hogwarts, you may not know that there is a spell casted over Hogwarts so that anyone who is a Muggle cannot see it. If someone who is a Muggle were to walk by Hogwarts or pass by it, they would see a giant mountain. Like, you would think they would at least have a scene where Jacob goes up, there's a mountain, he's confused, he's like, where's the castle? And Newt's like, oh, we have to take out the magic spell that makes it so you can't see Hogwarts, or maybe there's like some sort of, you know, force field where they have to pull Jacob through, so one side he sees a mountain, the other side he finally sees the like something to explain, you know, Jacob going to Hogwarts, just something to, explanation, something, because Hermione Granger's parents couldn't even go to Hogwarts. They've never even set foot on Hogwarts grounds, and yet Jacob is just walking around aimlessly, like it's no big deal. Okay. Also, Jacob gets a wand. Remember seeing this in the trailer and being really frustrated by it and thinking, well, I guess Ollivander's words mean nothing to us anymore. Wand chooses the wizard, Harry. Ah, no, psych, sorry. You don't matter anymore, Wizbowl. Actually, they do end up explaining this. Spoiler alert, you know, you've gotten this far, so clearly you don't care about spoilers, but Jacob's wand is actually not a wand. It's just a stick that looks like a wand. There's no core. It's just, well, pretty much anything you can get at Universal Studios. So the purpose of this, I guess, is to make it look like Jacob is a wizard somehow, so he'll take out the stick and Lally will, you know, conduct some magic and make it look like he is doing the magic. But the problem with this is that it's an interesting idea. The problem with this is that Jacob is so bad at staying incognito and proving himself to fit in because he's just wailing his hands about everywhere and yelling about everything. It's kind of obvious that he's clearly a Muggle. Like there's no fooling anyone, I'm sorry. Interesting concept. Could have been done better. At this point in time, Grindelwald is let off the hook for his crimes. What those crimes actually are, we still don't know. Even in the wizarding world, politicians are completely clueless of how to solve things. So I have this idea they're going to let Grindelwald run in this election because somehow it's a good thing because it helps the people believe they have more options than they actually do. Let the bad guy run to make people believe in democracy more. Wait, that's actually accurate. Newt's brother, who is an Auror, if you didn't remember from the last film, tries to arrest people who worked for Grindelwald in the last film, and then he gets attacked, and then he's arrested. I have no idea why he gets arrested. I'm just going to assume it's German wizarding laws, and that's why, and it's Germany. Go to Germany, get arrested. That's the only thing I can think of at this point. Newt goes to save him from prison, which involves more magical creatures. Yada 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 yada. First, I thought was a blast-ended Scoot, but it's not. It's some other weird lizard scorpion thing I think they made up. I can't figure it out what it is. Now, according to Insider, this thing is supposed to be a manticore. No. Now, I don't know if you know what a manticore looks like, but whatever I saw in the movie theater, that was not a manticore, because this is what a manticore is supposed to look like. This is a manticore. Whatever that other thing was, that is not a manticore. I refuse to accept this. Refuse. Anyway, Newt fights it, trying to save his brother. All the action-packed scenes do not include Dumbledore in Secrets of Dumbledore, and it's very frustrating to me. It feels like, to me, Secrets of Dumbledore has a bunch of different side plots, but is missing the main plot, which should be Dumbledore, and the main plot was completely just removed for the sake of these side plots. And so Secrets of Dumbledore just almost forgot about Dumbledore, essentially. It's also a little weird to see Dumbledore played by Jude Law in 1930, and then to see him completely age differently in 1938 when he goes to introduce himself to young Tom Riddle. I mean, will say this, is I don't think anyone else could have played a young Dumbledore the way that Jude Law has. A huge reason I take issue with this film is because we don't get to see enough of young Dumbledore. I think Jude Law would have done a great job at that. Again, biggest issue, not enough Dumbledore. That's my main problem with the entire film. If this film had been titled anything else surrounding the adventures of Newt Scamander and his friends, I wouldn't mind it as much. But again, when you're going to call movies Secrets of Dumbledore, give me Dumbledore. I want just Dumbledore. I think Dumbledore might be my favorite character, actually. Don't tell my fellow Slytherins. Shh. Oh, and speaking of Dumbledore, Dumbledore finally comes out of the closet despite being outed in 2007.
Bear in mind, at this point, I've been with him for 7 years. I knew he was gay. I just knew he was gay.
The end of the film is this German wizarding election, which for some reason takes place on what looks to be a Buddhist temple. Going back to the animal sacrifice in the beginning of the film, apparently, supposedly, this creature has the ability to sense someone who is pure of heart. And I guess back in the olden wizarding days, before voting was a thing, this creature was used to choose whoever should lead a group of people, and whoever that creature bows to would be that population's next leader, because voting didn't exist. Guys, we need a leader. Let's listen to the fish goat. Although, to be fair, I probably would trust the fish goat over the majority of the population when it comes to choosing a leader. Just saying. Grindelwald, who has zombified this creature, is going to use it to cheat the election, but behold, he's revealed to have committed animal sacrifice and that he's the bad guy trying to cheat the election, and the right person is chosen. And then somehow, the unbreakable vow against Dumbledore is broken, and then there's a fight broken out, and then there's happily ever after, and then there's a wedding. It's the end. That's the end of the film. Is any of it properly explained? How the unbreakable vow is broken? No. I am overly critical of this film, not because I didn't enjoy it. Because I did. It was good. It was an entertaining 2 hours. The reason I'm so analytical of Secrets of Dumbledore is because I want to see more of what there is. I want to see the story of Dumbledore. He is one of the most intriguing characters in the entire wizarding world. One of the most beloved characters in the entire wizarding world. I mean, we've known this man for 20 plus years. And he has an incredibly complex backstory, incredibly complex personality. And there's so much to him that we haven't seen yet. And that's the movie that I want to see. I want to see the movie where he fights his brother and his sister dies and he's this close to becoming a dark wizard with his gay lover. I mean, that's the story people want to see. It's not that the film didn't have good ideas, because it did. It's just, I expected the movie to do better. And it could have done better. I mean, this is supposed to be Albus Dumbledore's movie. Albus Dumbledore, who is the headmaster of Hogwarts we've known for 20 plus years. The man that everyone cried for when there was a plot to have him killed. When he died in Half-Blood Prince, everyone raised their wands and mourned for him. One of the most loved characters in the wizarding world. Who worked on alchemy with his friend Nicholas Flamel, who found 12 uses for dragon's blood. And did I happen to mention that he was this close to becoming a dark wizard alongside his gay lover? Where is that story? Story that I want to see from Dumbledore is the exact moment that he changed from wanting to take over the Muggle world to becoming the man who wanted to save it. Something that I absolutely love about good guy characters having a villainous past and villainous characters having a good guy moment. That is the character arc I think more people need to see, where the characters that we fear have a moment to themselves to right their wrongs, and the characters that we love have their flaws revealed. There's just something about that that makes them more human. I mean, no one is truly all evil or all good. It just doesn't work that way. And J.K. Rowling, who has developed several characters with complex backstories and redemption arcs, has the ability to show us that story, because she's done it 1,000 times. I mean, look at characters like Draco Malfoy, Severus Snape, Horace Slughorn, and Albus Dumbledore, who has that past already in writing. We just need to have the story revealed. The reason I love the wizarding world and J.K. Rowling so much isn't just because of the magic and the spells, but because she has this undeniable ability to develop amazing three-dimensional characters. And I want to see more of that. The thing is, I want J.K. Rowling to keep writing more scripts, to keep developing more films, because I know she has the ability to give us amazing films. She has the ability to write a great story and keep an audience captivated. So if that means any Tom Riddle or Death Eater movies or a movie on Dumbledore's backstory, I would love to see it, because I know she could do amazing work. Anyway, with that being said, if you love this video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Boop!